Who could believe it? Here you are in the 9 Mile Swamp. We're glad to be here tonight. We've got a bunch of songs for you tonight, and we have really special reading tonight. I always hope that out there among my friends out there are a few J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Ring fans. If that's the case, you'll really love our poem presentation tonight, which is a short excerpt from Sigurd the Volsung, which might be, in some ways, the grandfather of all fantasy literature. But maybe that's a discussion for another time. But right now, Cheryl is getting us logged on to some of the other platforms that allow us to glom onto them. And as soon as she's done doing that, we're going to start out with the song you might have heard from Arlo Guthrie. It was written by Steve Goodman. And I only heard the Steve Goodman version of it lately. I still have the Arlo Guthrie one in my head. And I guess I can't help that. So, are we almost ready, Cheryl?
We're getting there,
We're getting there. Okay, well, I'll play a little bit of Shadow Bride.
But thank you for joining us, and you can always drop us a line to let us know that you're watching, because we really do appreciate that. We like to get back to you later when we can.
And you had a birthday.
Yes.
Geezer.
Stop it. Hi, Marilyn Barton. It's good to have you join us as well. Like I said, drop us a line if you're there, so we
ready?
know you are. Yes, we are ready.
Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central Monday morning mail. 15 cars, 15 restless riders, 3 conductors, 25 sacks of mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out from Kankakee, rolls along past houses, farms, and fields, passing trains that have no names, freight yards full of old black men, and the graveyard of the rusted automobile. Good morning, America, how are ya? Don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I've been gone 500 miles when the day is done, dealing card games with the old men in the club car. Penny a point, ain't no one keeping score. Pass the paper bag that holds the bottle. Feel the wheels are rumbling neath the floor. And the sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpet made of steel. Mothers with their babes asleep, rocking to the gentle beat, and the rhythm of the rails is all they feel. Good morning, America, how are ya? Don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I've been gone 500 miles when the day is done. Take it, Cheryl. city of New Orleans. Changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Halfway home, we'll be there by morning. Through the Mississippi darkness, rolling down to the sea. But all the towns and people seem to fade into a bad dream, and the steel rails still ain't heard the news. The conductor sings his song again. Passengers will please refrain. This train got the disappearing railroad blues. Good morning, America, how are ya? Good night, that's right. Don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I've been gone 500 miles when the day is done. That's right. The train starts to fade away into the distance. You can't see it anymore. Put your ears down to the railroad track. You can hear the rails popping. That's the train. Don't do this at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Joe. Hi, Jane Lester. Hi, Kristen Wengert. And hi, Ruthie. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Hope you guys are spending a lot of time outside. It's been beautiful out.
Dust all the books inside the old bookstore. Emily, wearily, dusts the books and sweeps across the oaken floor. Her special chore. Although she cleans them every day, there's always more. The bankers laugh. Finds the bank as oftentimes she's done before. Emily, wearily, she cleans the old brass door. There's nothing more. The city street. She sings the oldest song she's ever known. She sings her Jesus loves me as she drags her feet. She sings her Jesus loves me all alone. Down the street, Emily finds the bank as oftentimes she's done before. Emily strains to see fingerprints on windows and the big brass door. There's nothing more. City street. She sings the only song she's ever known. She sings her Jesus loves me as she drags her feet. She sings her Jesus loves me all alone. Longs to see all the smiling shopkeepers that once she knew. Emily wearily calls on all the stores along the avenue. Some are new, old and friendly people have grown so few. Slowly shuffles on. Sounds of hungry engines fill the city street. She sings the only song she's ever known. She sings her Jesus loves me as she drags her feet. She sings her Jesus loves me all alone. Emily.
My mom's favorite. I see Jane Lester says she loves this song too. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Wanda.
Hey.
What do we have up? Ties up?
Is that
okay? Danielle Werner?
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a song called Ties That Blind, as opposed to Ties That Bind. Well, here it is. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Key of C, ready to rock and roll?
I am.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sung through the morning fog is our true love secret. We're gonna be alright. By the rail, on we sail. our madness. Our canvas is tattered, still we prevail. On our way, singing today, this is our measure. On our way, sailing, we carry this treasure. This is our measure. Leave behind ties that blind. Harbors lie waiting, I can almost see the faces. What we have lost, we still can find. Can't be much longer. We search the horizon. I see the longing in your eyes. On our way, singing today, this is our measure. On our way, sailing, we carry this treasure. This is our measure. Dawning light, cold hard night, sung through the morning fog, is our true love speaking. We're gonna be alright. We're gonna be alright. And that was The Ties That Blind. We've got an old Tim Hardin song for you. I love this song. I think I've always loved it. And just sorry it's so short. I wish you'd written a couple more verses to it. But it's a really beautiful song. Oops, I'm playing City of New Orleans again. Sure. If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe it's all true. Knowing that you lie straight face while I cry, still I look to find the reason to believe. If I gave you time to change my mind, I'd find a way to leave the past behind. Knowing that you lie straight-faced while I cry, still I look to find the reason to believe. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give, never thinking of myself. Take it, baby. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give, and never thinking of myself. If I gave you time to change my mind, I'd find a way to leave the past behind. Knowing that you lie so straight while I cry, and still I look to find a reason to believe. If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe it's all true. Knowing that you lie straight face while I cry, still I look to find a reason to believe. Yeah, I still look to find a reason to believe. That was a Tim Hardin song. Okay, now we've got something kind of interesting for you. This is, we're going to be doing, in a minute or so, we're going to be reading an excerpt from Sigurd the Volsung, which is an epic poem written by the British genius, William Morris, who probably could easily be put on the list of the 10 most productive men in the world. He wove carpets, he made stained glass. He wrote the greatest epic in the English language and the longest work in the English language. He wrote the longest poem cycle, The Earthly Paradise, in the English language. He almost reinvented fine printing and was England's premier interior decorator. He wrote several novels. He wrote a novel about the future before H.G. Wells did. And he wrote a novel about traveling back to the past, also before H.G. Wells did. H.G. Wells does both in The Time Machine, by the way. This is a song by William Morris. It's a way song. The characters in the novel, it's a fantasy novel. These are the songs they sing along the way. You will notice that Tolkien borrowed this technique from Morris as a way of creating a past behind the story, which would be told in song. This is like that. Art thou, man, art thou made through the long grass a-going? The short shirt thou bearest, and no beard I see, and the last wind there moon. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I just can't. It's been a while. Okay, no, let me try again. Art thou, man, art thou made through the long grass a-going? The short shirt thou bearest, and no beard I see, and the last wind ere moonrise about thee is blowing. Wouldst thou meet with thy maiden, or look'st thou for me? All right, we'll I will learn it for next week.
For next week. But anyway, we will share the poem that you were talking about.
Right. So this is again from Sigurd the Volsung. But I want to give you a little bit of background before I read it. I'll make this really short, just so that you can sort of feel the continuity of the story. Sigurd the Volsung is the great tale of Northern Europe. It's retold as William Morris, and it's the longest epic written in English. Morris believed that Sigurd the Volsung, that hero and that story, was the northern equivalent of the Odyssey or the Iliad, and thought it was one of the world's great stories. And so he translated what was called the Volsunga Saga, which was written in Iceland, had traveled there from the Gothic countries way before that, translated that into English, and then redacted it into his own epic poem. But don't worry, I'm not going to read the epic. I'm only going to read the really sexy part. When Sigurd's mother was pregnant with him, King Sigmund, his father, was killed in battle when the sword given to him by the god Odin shatters. She goes on to the battlefield and picks up the pieces and carries them to the Gothlands, where it is reforged by a wizardly dwarf on the third attempt. A little bit like the sword that was broken in The Lord of the Rings. Sigurd takes his sword, called the Wrath, on adventures. He kills and takes the gold from a dread dragon, Fafnir, and rides off to discover a mountain surrounded by a wall of flame. Luckily, his horse, bred by Odin, is willing to carry him through the flames, where he finds what appears to be a man in armor, lying as if dead. The edges of the sword, the Wrath, glow blue as he decides to try it on the armor, encasing what turns out to be a woman whose beauty is beyond telling. The Valkyrie, called Brynhild. After a very racy description of removing the armor, they fall instantly in love and promise to meet later on. Their love, sadly, turns tragic as the evil Nibelung clan poisons Sigurd's mind with a tainted wine that makes him forget Brynhild and makes him fall in love with their princess, whose name is Gudrun. Okay, and now to the poem. Sigurd has ridden through the flames, and he has discovered what looks like a knight lying dead on the ground, and finds out pretty soon it's not a knight, but it is a shield maiden, specifically the one named Brynhild. And he said, "Awake, I am Sigurd, but she moveth nevermore." Then he looked on his bare, bright blade, and he said, "Thou, what wilt thou do? For indeed, as I came by the Wargarth, thy voice of desire I knew. Bright burnt the pale blue edges, for the sunrise drew anear, and the rims of the shield-burg glittered, and the east was exceedingly clear. So the eager edges he setteth to the dwarf-wrought battle-coat, where the hammered ring-knit collar constraineth the woman's throat. But the sharp wrath biteth and rendeth, and before it fail the rings. And lo, the gleam of the linen, and the light of golden things. Then he driveth the blue steel onward, and through the skirt and out, till naught but the rippling linen is wrapped her about. Then he deems her breath comes quicker, and her breast begins to heave. So he turns about the war flame and rends down another sleeve, till her arms lie white in her raiment, and a river of sun-bright hair flows free over bosom and shoulder, and floods the desert bare. Then a flush cometh over her visage, and sigh up heaveth her breath, and her eyelids quiver and open, and she awakeneth into rest. Wide-eyed on the dawning, she gazeth, too glad to change or smile. Then they turned and were knit together, and oft and over again they craved and kissed rejoicing, and their hearts were full in fain. Then Sigurd looked upon her, and the words from his heart arise. Thou art the fairest of earth, and the wisest of the wise. O who art thou that lovest? I am Sigurd, even as I told. I have slain the foe of the gods, and gotten the ancient gold. And great were the gain of thy love, and the gift of mine earthly days, if we twain should never sunder, as we wend on the changing ways. O who art thou that lovest, thou fairest of all things born? And what meaneth thy sleep and thy slumber in the wilderness forlorn? She said, I am she that loveth. I was born of the earthly folk, but of old All-Father took me from the kings in their wedding yoke, and he called me the victory wafter, and I went and came as he would. And I chose the slain for his war host, and the days were glorious and good. So, Brynhild is a Valkyrie who is snatched up by Odin to be his maiden, to ride with him in his sled as he rides over the battlefield and chooses the warriors who are fit to go to Valhalla. But Brynhild showed too much pride, and as the old expression goes, pride goes before the fall. And so Odin had stuck her with a thorn that caused her to go to sleep for years until Sigurd awakes her. That's also the story of the German Nibelungenlied, by the way. Okay. Back to music.
Back to music, yes. We'll switch guitars, and while you're doing that, I have some announcements to make. One is Joe Giglio surprised me today. He wasn't going to do a show, and then later on I found out that he had done a show. Some of you saw it, but you can check out Joe Giglio and his live Facebook show on Sundays at 2 o'clock. And then our friend Craig Ellis does a show on streetjelly.com on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. So check those guys out. And we have a live show coming up in a couple of weeks at Peekskill, if you're in that area, at Birdsall House, outdoor with Kurt Henry and Dog Nose, a full band. This is GNP.
Take a minute, free from the run. We're in the middle, swept into the race. We should begin to soften the pace. We're caught up on a wheel, let's cut a better deal. I feel like slowing down. I feel like slowing down. It's an illusion, the product I need. They're all distractions, those numbers I read. It's a delusion, this is the scroll. And my reactions are starting to slow. We're running out of time, our tragedy unwinds. I feel like slowing down. I feel like slowing down. Life could be so simple, spending mostly time. Luxury or leisure, what's your bottom line? Look to your obsession, that shiny thing you hold. There is no possession, everything must go. Yeah, it will surely go. Like this it goes. Sifting hours, my honey and me. Golden voices call out from the trees. We see the flowers, we're seizing the day. We're making choices to do it this way. It's freedom from the wheel. Time enough to feel life is slowing down. I feel it slowing down. So take a minute, watch it unwind. The GMP is just a part of our minds. We're in the middle, swept into the race. We should begin to soften the place. Caught up on a wheel, we can feel slowing down. I feel it slowing down. On a dying planet, must we be diseased? Hooked upon a habit, planting poison seeds. Can we shrink production, have more leisure time? Let's go GMP.
Turn that page before you start.
Sure. This next is a really interesting song. I first heard this from Dave Van Ronk, and then I found out there was a place called Camp Woodland, I think it was called, in the Catskills, and there was a folk music project that began up there, and this is many, many years ago. I believe John Harold told me about it, and it was a place where they did some research of folk songs from the Catskills. And this is a song that came up. It's called The Shanty Man's Life. And it tells the story of Irish people who came to New York, or came to the wilderness, really. And there's a mention of Delavere, the river Delavere, which I think was probably a corruption of Delaware, or maybe not. Maybe it was the way the Delaware natives pronounce their name, for all I know. And it was a hardship for them because in Ireland, Ireland was not as wild as the Catskills, and the song expresses some fear of wolves and bears and not snakes, but they didn't have them in Ireland. At least I think they don't have them in Ireland. Is that true about St. Patrick? Anyway, it's called Shanty Man's Life. It's a wonderful song. We've upped it a little bit and given it kind of a Dire Straits setting. And here it comes. A shanty man's life is a wearisome one. Oh, some think it free from care. It's the swinging of an axe from morning till night in the forest, wild and free. In the forest, wild and free. Transported I am from my own native land to the banks of the Delavere, with the wolves, bears and owls, and their terrifying growls. In the forest, wild and free. In the forest, wild and first morning star does appear, it's to the wild woods we go, to swing on the axe from morning till night, to lay the forest low, to lay the forest low. Had I good wine or beer, I drink without cheer, I'd lead a different life. No more would I roam, but contented to stay at home with a happy little smiling wife, with a happy smiling wife. Had a good ship and store, I'd be on old Erin's shore. Yeah, I'd lead a different life. No more would I roam, but contented to stay at home with a happy little smiling was Shanty Man's Life. We're going to finish up this show with a song that I wrote, I guess, from hanging out on the Hudson River a little bit. And this is called River of Stars. Here we are. Our river of stars. We're here alone in waters unknown. Baby, turn off your phone. You've got no one to talk to. Moon so new. We're out of view. If we start to drift, our anchor slips. I lock on your lips. You've got no one to talk to.
I'd like to note that you're what I'm floating my dream on. I'd like to note that you're what I'm floating my dream on. Drift all night, still out of sight. Past Manhattan asleep, we'll drift out to sea. If the water gets deep, you can turn your phone on. Turn your phone on. Yeah. That's good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us at 9 Mile Swamp. And hi, Judy. Hi, Girly. I see that you're there. Thank you, Marilyn. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we hope to see you again next weekend. Thanks again. We are so grateful to have friends like you. Thanks, Ruthie. Thanks, Kristen. What wine is that, Jane, that's so good? I'd love to know. Thanks, Michael. We'll try to do more next time. Hi, Jane. Dry Riesling. Ah, Millbrook Winery. Sounds good. Thanks, Jane.